Hello there, everybody out there in Memorial Day weekend land, I guess you could say. This is Dylan from Dylan Knows, a brand new episode today. We're mixing things up a little bit. For those who've watched my show before, the fourth Sunday of the month is usually my international show, but unfortunately my co-host Bronwyn lost her father last week, so they're still in the middle of, funerals and wakes and just shock and stuff like that. So Bronwyn should return next month. We'll play that by ear. But it was going to be a fifth Sunday anyway. My fifth Sunday, I always like to try something different. And so I decided, hey, I'll move it up. It's the perfect weekend. It's Memorial Day weekend. So I'm bringing back the lovely beer aficionado, Mandie. She was on my show, I don't know, back in the fall, winter. It was back in the winter. Yeah, back in the fall, winter. And we got a good response from it. And it's something different that not a lot of people do. So we're going to be talking beer again. It's summertime. Heck, this is basically the beginning of summer for the most part. Memorial Day weekend always seemed to be that period where, okay, the pools are opening, people are going down the beach. You got a 3-day weekend, barbecues all over the place. So what goes well with barbecue? Beer. Of course it does. But not just any beer. We got all kinds of beer. Beer has had a huge growth in all kinds of aspects in the past couple of years. So, and it's starting to become more upfront. So I figured I'd bring in an expert, talk about some beer. But before we do that real quick, let's just remember, I got to just do this real quick. Memorial Day is not just for hot dogs and beer and barbecues and beer. It's to remember all the fallen soldiers that we lost in the various wars who are there protecting our country. So take a second and thank the soldiers who protected your life. Now, absolutely. Here we go. Mandie. So, say hi, Mandie.
Hi.
I like your hair.
Thank you very much. I like my hair too.
So, last time we chatted, it was all about fall and winter type beers, and you gave me a quick rundown of all the different types of styles of beer out there as well, and gave me some good examples. So after the show, we said, you know what, we should do one for summer as well. And so let's dive right in. So right off the bat, and I think I know the answer, but I just want to ask it because it's a question you get asked. What differentiates beers in the summer from beers in the fall?
Yeah, well, the biggest thing about summer beers, they're a lot lighter, a lot crisper. You tend to get a lot more, lagers become more apparent. Just a little, don't remember the difference between a lager and an ale. There are really only two types of categories of beers, and those lagers and ales. And lagers are, they are what they call fermented, top fermented. Or sorry, ales are top fermented and lagers are bottom fermented. And lagers have to be brewed at colder temperatures, so it's a little, you see them a little bit less often, especially with craft beers, because it requires a lot more space and time. But they become a lot more present during the summer, and you got a lot. Just my girlfriend Miranda, CraftyMiranda82 on Twitter, she likes her beers in the summer to be, she describes them, a summer breeze, crisp and light and airy. So
that sounds actually like a brilliant description for it.
Yeah. Summer breeze.
Summer breeze, absolutely. They should name a beer Summer Breeze.
There's a lot of beers named a lot of things. There's a huge thing going on right now. I'm sure you've noticed when you go into the store that beers are getting crazier and crazier names. Some of the ones I've got here today have some really strange names, and it's because they're starting to patent beer names, and now you have to come up with a completely unique beer name, and that is really hard to do.
I can only imagine. I mean, I guess you can, it's not quite the same, but I mean, with the dearth of wineries that pop out also, you need to come up with some names for different wines as well. But the beer names, yeah, you're absolutely right. I've seen some of them. They're absolutely insane. But you know what? They're kind of cool, though. It gives them a big differentiation. It's like, wow, this sounds really cool.
You got to give props to Duclaw Brewing, which is up in Bel Air, Maryland. Sweet Baby Jesus is now their flagship beer. which seemed totally crazy when they named it that. And then, now it's just sort of commonplace. Sweet baby Jesus.
So I'm sure you'll cover this, but because it's like the face of their brewery now, do they do like a summer Sweet Baby Jesus? I mean, I know that was more for a winter Christmassy type of thing, but do they do like a summer Baby Jesus one or something like that?
Well, they have a lot of summer beers that they do. Your wife is a big fan of Morgasm, which is a pale ale with it's a blonde ale with grapefruit in it. I got a couple of grapefruit beers today that just knock your socks off. I look forward to Dawn trying them. They do another summer beer called Funk, which is a blueberry wheat.
Ooh,
yeah,
that sounds good.
Miranda likes that one. So they definitely do their fair share of summer beers.
Okay, then. So, well, why don't we get into them then? You said, grapefruit is a very crisp, clean type of fruit for the summer, especially anytime really, but for the summer, it gives you that crisp thing. And I have had the Morgasm before, and it is absolutely stunning. I didn't think I'd ever like anything like that because as I've told you before, I'm not a big beer guy, but I've been starting to get open to trying some new things, and I've been finding a lot of interesting stuff. But so tell us, you have a couple of grapefruit ones then?
Grapefruit beers. I want to start with Shandies. Shandies are the big hot summer beer right now. They really have been picking up speed over the last couple of years. A Shandy is a beer that's mixed with either soda, Sprite, ginger ale, ginger beer, or with fruit juice. And probably my favorite Shandy is, see, I got the bottle here, UFO Big Squeeze.
Oh, wow.
Close enough. No, that's really not. I'll put out a list later. UFO Big Squeeze is made by Harpoon. It has it's grapefruit juice and a nice pale ale. It's at 4.5%. One of the great things about summer beers is that they're much lower percentages. Shandies are much lower percentages, so you can sit around the pool or at the park and drink them all day long and not have a terrible hangover the next day. UFO does come in cans, which unfortunately they were all out. Memorial Day weekend, I needed to have gone shopping a little bit sooner. The cans were all out, so I'm going to be pouring them in cups tomorrow to get some solo cups for my beer while I'm at the pool. But UFO is a great summer beer, and you can get that all up and down on the East Coast. And I'm not far how west Harpoon distributes, but it's pretty at least Central America, so that's one that everybody can get their hands on. Another East Coast beer that I have actually recently discovered that I'm really, really excited about is it's by Gansett is the name of the brewery. Let's see how close I have to get before. There we go.
Yeah, there we go. That's good.
There you go, Gansett. So a Rhode Island brewery, and they make a beer called Narragansett's lager, and they have taken their lager and they've mixed it with Dell's frozen lemonade.
Ooh.
That's a local frozen lemonade company that goes back to the 1840s. And they've mixed the two together, and it's just lovely. It is, Gansett's is a great alternative to something like Yingling or Natty Boh, or just one of your basic canned beers. Not quite craft. It's not quite craft, but it's a small enough brewery that they have a pretty big quality commitment to quality. And this new this summer Shandy is it's like drinking lemonade with a little bit of hops. It's perfect for yard work. Pat was mowing the lawn yesterday, and he was out there drinking the Gansett. So I highly recommend that one. A little bit of a niche beer, but I had to give a shout out to it's MD Beer Guy. That's BEAH because he's from Boston. So it's Beer Guy. Not even sure I'm saying. He's got the thickest Boston accent. It's great, and he brings some good stuff from that region to our liquor store down here called Whitey's Liquor. It's over in Glen Burnie, and just really, really great guy. So he hooked me up with that one.
That actually gets me to something I wanted to ask you about also, and I'm sure you probably have some of these also, but it appears that, recently, there's this thing about trends. Trends always seem to, come and go. Like pumpkin spice in the fall always seems to be, it started off slow and then has exploded into this insane thing now. And it appears now during the summer, it's more of a lemon aspect. You showed me the Shandy. Being a beer connoisseur as you are, does that, how do you feel about having like a lemon beer-esque type of thing instead of like your typical solid hoppy type of beer flavor?
I love Shandies. I love, look, spice is the variety of life, right? That's not how that phrase goes, is it?
No, it's variety is the spice of life.
Variety is the spice of life. There it is. There it is. Yeah, I like different. I like new. I like my summer beers to be light and refreshing, and I like them to have that citrus flavor. It's definitely popular this summer. They're just fruity beers are really there, and I'm really picky about my fruity beers. I don't want my beers to be sweet. I want them to be aromatic, and I want them to have the flavor, but I don't want, I see this beers like taking lemonade, but it's not that sweet. It's not laced with sugar. So
I guess that'd be more like maybe that you get that lemony flavor to it, but not quite that swedish, sweet lemonade type of aspect to it.
Yeah. This one's a little sweeter than the Gansett is definitely a little sweeter than the UFO, but they're both just perfect Shandies. And you can make your own Shandy if you're really ambitious. You get a nice pale ale. And you want to mix it up with a little ginger beer. That's real hot right now. As far as cans go, my go-to summer beer, and this year I'm really lucky because there are all these new beers in cans. Cans are the hot thing in beer right now, and it's great because I spent a lot of time at the pool. And last year and the year before that, I really moved to Dale's Pale Ale, and I wish I had one in front of me to show you, and I don't, but Dale's Pale Ale is by Oscar's Loop. They're everywhere. You can get it everywhere across the country. It's definitely more expensive than buying a case of Bud Light or a case of Natty Bo or PBR, but the difference in taste is just astronomical, and it's a great base beer for doing a lot of things. So you mix a little Dale's with a little Sprite. It's an interesting flavor. It's not for everybody, but if you want to make your own Shandy, you definitely can.
That's actually an interesting idea. I mean, and it makes sense because let's face it, when you go on vacation during the summer, you want to go and you want to have drinks and you want to do stuff like that. And then there's a lot of places like I'll give you an example. When Dawn and I go on our vacation with Dawn's family, they like to have their drink on, and you've been to their parties before, Mandie, so you know all about that. And it's always great because in North Carolina, I mean, as long as you have your beer like in cozies and stuff like that, and there's really no lifeguards or anything patrol. I mean, there's lifeguards patrolling, but they aren't there. Like you might have like in Ocean City or something like that where they're always around. So you can go out there and you can just have a good time at the beach, drinking some of your beer like that. And when you're on vacation, as my point is, PBR and Natty Bo and Coors and all that, are good, cheap beers. But when you're on vacation, sometimes you just don't really care. You just want something good because, hey, you're already on vacation. You're already spending all this money on your vacation. Why not, splurge a little bit?
Spend an extra few bucks and buy Dale's Pale instead of buying Bud Light. I that's 100% right there with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny. I mean, when we go on vacation, I think everybody buys alcohol and we have to buy more when we go down there because we have like 10 bottles of wine, 6 cases of beer, and then about halfway through, we gotta get more alcohol.
Yep.
You gotta party with us.
I have. It's fun.
So okay.
We'll be in the beach at the end of June, and I definitely, you get those. That's what's great about cans is now there's great beer in cans that you can have on the beach, so you just get your cozy on it, not glass. I'm not actually 100% sure what Ocean City's policy is on that, but if it's in a can and it's in a cozy, and you're not hurting anybody, then it's that's the way to go.
Exactly, because I mean, they don't know what you're drinking. You could be drinking a soda for all they know, as long as you're not sitting there with a beer in your hand, walking up and down the beach, going hang on the ocean, drinking the beer. And it's like that's it. There's the beer right there. Now, if you have in the cozy, I don't think they care. Bottles might be a different story because, if they break,
bottles are dangerous, but that's what's great about, that's so great about cans. So I like you said, you can both can sets and a big squeeze, both come in cans. So try and look for those ones and test those out.
Well, actually, you got me thinking of another question I would ask you. So you said beer in the cans is is the new big thing. There's beer cans everywhere now when they're not used to be as much. Is there, if you know this, I don't know if you know this or not, is there any difference in if it's in a bottle or a can? Is there, like, flavor-wise, taste-wise, is there, because of...
Great question, Dylan. That's a really great question. And it's so for the longest time you didn't see craft beer in cans. That was almost exclusively something that you saw with much cheaper, much simpler beers. Beer is just like wine. It needs to breathe. There's a certain level of aromatics that go with the flavor. But they've started, as cans have become more popular, you start to see certain beers, mostly pale ales like Dale's. Dale's was always in cans. Union Brewing, which actually has my next company, they're a local brewery, and they're unfortunately only distributed in our region on the East Coast, Virginia to New Jersey. But you can get your hands on Union. They do some great beer in the cans. So does Brewers Art. They also, and up until very, very recently, the only beers that they put in cans were very simple malt, simple hops, things that didn't need to breathe, no heavy hitter IPAs. Recently, I do have one IPA that's in a can now, and it does taste different in the can than it does in a glass. It's definitely more floral, you smell more of the aroma when you put it in a glass and you let it open up and breathe. But I prefer my soda in a can versus a plastic bottle versus a glass. I like that sort of aluminum taste that you get when you're drinking a canned beer. I like the way the carbonation stays inside the can as opposed to the bottle or a glass. People are starting to develop those kinds of tastes for canned beer too. I certainly wouldn't drink some of these beers in the winter when I'm sitting inside in a can. I would definitely put them in a glass, let them open them up, let them breathe. But in the summer, I'm perfectly happy to sit around and drink it out of a can and be able to appreciate having that better step of beer in the can, even if it's not as good.
Okay. Well, I mean, as we were just talking about, it makes sense because you're doing a lot more stuff during the summer, outdoors, and a lot of these places they frown upon having glass bottles around their area because it could break, and there could be lawsuits or people could hurt themselves. Whereas cans, not so bad. They're easy to hide, and you can transport them a lot easier also to the location you need to go to, and it's fun. Yeah, it's absolutely fun. So that's good. So, while we were talking about that, do you want to get into the Union brewery then? You had some of the Union...
Yeah, let's talk about Union Brewery. So have you seen the M&T Bank commercial starring the Union Brewing guys?
I don't think so.
You've got to see it. It's fantastic. And every time it comes on in a bar, I get super excited to make everybody shut up and watch it. So proud of those guys. Adam, John, and Kevin are the brewers and the business guys over at Union Brewing. They are they're located in the heart of Baltimore. And they got a loan from M&T Bank, Maryland and Trust. Is that what it stands for? I think so.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
and they're just this incredible brewery now that makes just really, really quality beer all the time. And they have never had a bottling system. They've always had a canning system for a long time. Their flagship beer is called Duckpin. And that's been in cans for a really long time. They have make a great Balt Alt as another great Snow Pants. They got some unique names. But my favorite beer from Union that has just come out is Old Pro. If we can get this in here.
Okay,
Old Pro. It's got you'll like it. It's got a picture of mini golf items on the can. They got some really clever packaging. Old Pro is a Goza. Goza is how you'll hear people say Goze, but it's actually Goza. I recently got into this with a couple of brewers to make sure I was really pronouncing it right. And Gozas come from a region in Germany. It's actually, the region is called Goslar. So they are what makes either top fermented ales, and they're made with 50% malt. And this malt characteristic, and they use an interesting yeast strain to bring it to this level, but originally Gozas will, they ferment much faster. Okay. And they create this very tart flavor. You get this very salty taste, and it's usually got a little citrusy sort of notes, very lemony notes. So Old Pro is, it has coriander, salt, and lemon flavors. And it's a little tart. It's crisp. It's a little tiny bit. Sweet's not the right word. I guess tart is really, it's got that citrusy flavor, so it's not particularly hoppy. It's just a really great beer, and I can put back a ton of these. I just can drink this all day long. This is absolutely my summer go-to beer. I'm so excited that this is in cans. Unfortunately, they shipped it a couple of weeks ago, and everybody got a couple of cases, and almost everybody is sold out of it. Again, MD Beer Guy, Rob over at Whitey's, hooked me up with another 6-pack. So I do have one for you, Dylan, that I put aside.
Awesome.
But as soon as those hit the shelves again, I will be buying a case. And I'll tell you what, this is a trick, a little tip. If you are into craft beer and you really want to try some of these relatively small run batches of beer, you really need to be on Twitter, and you really need to follow the breweries and follow the local distributors, so you know when this stuff hits the shelf, and you know who to ask. Hey, I'm really looking for Old Pro cans. My local liquor store didn't have it. Where can I find it close by to me? And if you are following, the local distributors, they're all on Twitter, and you can and they will usually get back to you pretty quickly and say, hey, go to this liquor store.
Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense, because you know what, Twitter is a great way not only to interact with people, but also to push things and sell things. And you're gonna want to get that product out there, and you want to sell it and want it to be popular. So yeah, that's perfect. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, it's just there's a huge beer community, and it is absolutely one of the way they get information across. And if you don't want to miss out on great beers that are coming out, and even now, if you're sitting, somewhere in Northern Virginia and you want to get a hand Old Pro, the first thing you should do is contact somebody at Legends, which is their distributor, and say, hey, is this available somewhere near me? That's the way to do it. I wish everybody in the country could try Old Pro. Unfortunately, it is one of our close beer, but I have another one that is not very far away, and this is a great beer that I'm really enjoying right now. It's Victory Kirsch Goza. What is that? You're getting a little bit of that.
Yeah. Okay.
Kirsch Goza. So this one is a sour cherry. This one's a sour cherry goes. You can see it's a nice pink color.
Oh, wow. That is really cool.
Yeah. Really, really excellent. Little bit of salt, a lot of cherry, not too sweet though. And that's Victory Brewing. They're everywhere. It comes in a 4-pack. You can find that everywhere, and I really, really recommend it. This one is actually 6.7%, so it's a little bit higher than some of most of the gozas are around 4 to 5%. So this one's got a little more higher alcohol content, and that's because of the sour cherries. But it's still it's a great summer beer, and this is a great one to try.
Good.
I'm gonna drink this one.
It's just, as I said, I've heard people who, you know, they do not like this dearth of like summer type of beers, but it actually makes a lot of sense, you know, with the more the citrusy, cooling, refreshing type of beers for the summer, because, you know, depending on where you are in the United States, I suppose, the temperature gets really rough, especially where we are and on the eastern
temperature gets really rough where we are.
Yeah. So yeah, next week we get a taste of that 91, 92 with high humidity. So, you know, that's makes it feel like 110 degrees.
You want a nice, crisp, refreshing beer on those days. You know, I do not drink heavy stouts and porters during the summer. That's for sure.
That's definitely more for a winter, fall-esque type of thing. A little bit thicker, heavier on you, I guess, yeah. Right? Yeah. So go on.
I was going to say I have another one here that's it's not a goza. This is the next step away from it, which is a Berliner Weiss. Still a slightly sour, crisp. Usually has a little bit of fruit flavor to it. I'll show you this one. It's got this. It's a night flight color, and I'll show you this bottle, but it's a really complicated label. So it's got a bear standing on a peach. It's called Festina Peche, and this is a Dogfish Head brewery. And what's great about Dogfish Head, it's a relatively local brewery for us. They're brewed in Delaware, but they are one of the most well-distributed craft breweries. You can get this anywhere in the country, and that's great. And this one is a peach. It's a peach beer. It's an ale brewed with peach juices. It's 4.5%, and it is definitely a little bit sour. You have to take 3 sips to get the full flavor. You take it, you get a little bit of sour on the front, and then as it sits, you're like, oh, there's the peach. And it's like eating a peach. It's just got a little bit sour in front. And this is one of my, this was definitely my first sour beer. And it's still one of my favorites to drink in the summertime. And it only is available in the summer.
So what was it called? What was it called again?
Festina Peche.
Okay, and Dogfish. I mean, yeah, Dogfish Head is big around here, so we've gotten some of that before for our various parts as well. And I know Dawn's a big peach person, so that might be something that she might like up there.
I'll give you 2 bottles of that one.
Awesome. Now I know a little bit about Dogfish. Is there any other Dogfishes you want to talk about?
I do have another Dogfish. Yeah, let's, you know, we didn't talk about IPAs last time because you could frankly do an entire show just on IPAs. This is this hot thing. And I right now have another Dogfish Head IPA. Again, one with fruit. This is apricot, as in apricot hop. Apricot.
That's clever. I like that.
Yeah. And it's got citrus notes and apricot on the front, and then hops on the finish. It smells, so that means it sort of smells. It's got a citrusy aroma to it, and as you drink it, you taste the apricot, and then you start to taste the hops. And so it's a great IPA for the summertime. Just a little quick background on IPAs. India Pale Ale. It's a pale ale with a lot of hops. That's what an IPA is, in case anybody was curious about that. And the phrase India Pale Ale was actually coined in 1829 by an advertisement in an Australian Gazette. And it's just become a thing ever since. A lot of times you'll see now is American IPAs, and an American IPA is just an IPA using an American hop, like Cascade or Simcoe or Centennial, Chinook. Those are all examples of American hops. And if you see it's an American IPA, that's what it means, isn't it? It's full of American hops. And American hoppy beers tend to be pretty hoppy.
And it's good also because for the April hop one, as I mentioned earlier, there's people who don't like their fruity flavors with their beers during the summer. They like to get the straight beer. That sounds like a really good one, like the best of both worlds. You get that fruity flavor, but then you get on the back end that beer flavor that you might like as well, the hoppy flavor that you might like because you prefer that maybe to the fruity stuff. So that might actually be one for those people out there who feel that the dearth of summer beers is not damaging, but is kind of doesn't belong here. It's not beer.
Definitely a great choice. In Dogfish Head always makes great IPAs. They have, I'm sure you've either had their 60-minute IPA, they have a 90-minute IPA, and a 120-minute IPA, and the level of hops and the level of smoothness and malt just increases as you go down. One of my favorite things to do is what they call the 75-minute, which is where you take a 90-minute and a 60-minute and you mix them together. It's this really amazing flavor. So if you're a Dogfish Head guy and you haven't tried that, definitely get a 90 and a 60 and mix them together. That's a great beer.
We'll have to try it because I think my brother-in-law Mike, who you've met before, also he's a good beer guy. I think he gets the 90 IPA from Dogfish Head, so he likes that one. Definitely. That might be interesting to try. Definitely.
You definitely need to try that. What's great about the Dogfish Head IPAs is they make a lot of it, and it's usually, I don't want to say always, it's usually you can get it pretty fresh, and that is everything with an IPA. With a hoppy beer, freshness is key. Rogue makes these beers, not Rogue, Stone, Brewing out in California, do these beers. It's called Enjoy By, and it's a date. So Enjoy By 2/15/15, and that means you need to drink the beer by December 15th, 2015, and do not violate that date. It's still a decent beer, but there's some beers that you sit around and age for a long time. IPAs are not one of them. You want to drink them as fresh as humanly possible. My favorite IPA is called Lot 3. It's by a Maryland brewery company called Evolution. Unfortunately, though, the bigger they've gotten, the harder it is to get their beer fresh. And so when I go down to Ocean City, I'm going to be definitely stopping by the showroom and drinking some hot off the press Lot 3, because it's divine when it's fresh.
Awesome. Let me see. So now you talked a lot about the fruity type of beers that come out during the summer. Now, are there any other types of beers that might not be fruity that you might not get?
There are, although I have to let me talk about one more fruity beer.
Sure, that's fine.
Some of the ones I talked about are more locals, and this one is not. This is from a San Diego brewery. Let me see if I can find it. And this is Sculpin. Is a great IPA. See if I can get this up there. You can see the fish. You see it's actually kind of hard to see because it's a camouflage fish. It's a dangerous fish. It's like a stonefish. You step on it, it's very venomous. The spikes will kill you. I don't know why they named their beer after Sculpin, but Sculpin is their IPA. In the summer, they do grapefruit Sculpin. Hello, Noah.
Yeah, there's Noah. Yep.
They do grapefruit Sculpin. This is just a really amazing IPA for the summer. It has the strong grapefruit flavor, but it definitely tastes like a West Coast IPA. Strong hops, really smooth. It's a great IPA, and that one does still have grapefruit in it, but you need to do that. But
real quick though. So you said during the summer they do the grapefruit. Do they do a special one during the fall also?
They have they sometimes do it with different hops. They change the hops on that. You can get all sorts of different kinds of Sculpin when you get it when they're available. But during the regular year, it's just Sculpin, and it's still really, really delicious. It just doesn't have that citrus flavor. But in the summer, they also have habanero Sculpin. I got myself a glass of habanero Sculpin right here. Pepper beers are hot this summer, and I love it. I love hot beers. That's a love or hate kind of thing. Some people just live this. I see how it. You can watch my face. I'm going to make faces after I drink this. Yeah, there it is, right there in the back of your throat. That habanero. Oof. I love it. I absolutely adore hot beers. I especially love hot hoppy beers. I think they complement each other really well. I've got another IPA. This is a local one. It's called Welcome to Scoville. It's in cans. Something that I don't always, an IPA is not something I tend to drink in cans, but I will in the summer for the fun of it. And it's also made with, it's made with jalapenos and cilantro.
Jeez. Oh, man.
So this is and they're a relatively new Maryland brewery. And yeah, the jalapeno beers are everywhere this summer. So, you know, sit back, have some salsa and chips, and drink a jalapeno beer or a habanero beer, as the case may be.
Okay, I guess that's interesting, I suppose.
That's not what you're expecting me to say. It was the next trend.
No, I didn't really. But it doesn't surprise me, though, because, I mean, last week on my show, I was talking about how ketchup is going through these types of trends also. They've got, you know, you have your regular ketchup, but now they've got sriracha-flavored ketchup, and they've got jalapeno-flavored ketchup, and they've got hot sauce-flavored ketchup now. It's like, I guess hot is to coin a phrase, hot. Hot is trendy. Yeah. And so it does. Now, I know you've probably been to a couple of the breweries before. How do they add it to the hop when they make the hops?
When they make the beer and they mix the ingredients in, yeah, they'll throw in some peppers and just let them cook for a while, and then they'll take them out. They don't let them sit as long as they let the hops and the yeast sit. But yeah, they'll throw those peppers in there.
Yeah, I guess you don't want them too hot in there. You
still want to keep the flavor. It's definitely a gradient. Some are hotter than others, and my husband likes the flavor of the pepper, but he doesn't like them to be hot. So he likes Scoville, but he doesn't like the habanero Sculpin. That was all me. I don't think I'll be able to get anybody else to drink that. Elysian makes these beers called Crime and Punishment. They had them last winter, and they were so hot that they couldn't sell them. Over at the Columbia Ale House, they bought I think 6 bottles of each. And they sat on the shelf so long that they started cooking with them, which is, these are expensive beers. We're talking about, you know, $30, $40 a bottle, and they started cooking with them because people just could barely handle to drink them. I loved them, but every time I was in a situation where a table of people had bought a bottle, I ended up drinking 90% of it because nobody else could. They tasted it and they were like, that is not for me.
I guess hot isn't the flavor, right? So I mean, you're drinking the beer. It's still the cold of the beer in the refrigerator, but then you get that hot note like you do with like the hot sauce and stuff like that. It's just sort of, it's just a feeling, the sense of the feeling, right? Of
yeah, I mean, there's the flavor, and then sometimes, I mean, because they can taste habanero and jalapeno they have their own unique flavors, and you can taste that in the beer. But if you put, you know, too many of the seeds in it and too many of the stems. The steams, I guess, is where the heat really is. Then you get not just the heat, but or not just the flavor, but also the heat. I personally make my own jalapeno tequila that I make margaritas with all summer long. I like hot, and hot and beer for me is just a winning combination.
But that makes a little more sense, though. I mean, to me, it would. I mean, it's still blowing my mind, absolutely, and I guess it's something you can try. But I mean, a jalapeno tequila sounds a little bit more, I guess, normal, as it were. I mean, than a jalapeno beer. That still absolutely boggles my mind. But I guess, you know, you got to keep it interesting. I mean, you can't just you got to try the next big thing, and you're not going to advance if you don't try things. You know, you got to try things, because if you just stay in the same way you do things, you know, eventually things are just, you're not gonna move forward any. You might just end up, you know, staying still, and yeah, you might be okay, but I mean, it becomes kind of routine and boring, where it's fun to try these, you know, these different things. And, you know, everyone's probably out on the lookout for the next big trendy thing. And as you said this year, there's the hot beers. Do you have any other like those that you know of off the top of your head that, like, because you said there's a lot of them out there now. I mean, are
so Duclaw actually occasionally they have a brewer named Brandon Millhouse, and he really likes peppers, and so every now and then he'll make a cask with a really hot cask, and I get really excited when he does that. But another local brewery, Oliver Ale, which is probably my favorite brewery, they do some stuff with chilies occasionally. I'm trying to think of a one that's more nationally distributed, and I'm having trouble. They're out there, but I can't think of one at the moment.
Because as I said, I mean, not that I frequent liquor stores all that much, but when I am there, I do, partially because of you, I do check out some of the beers they have in the various liquor stores in this area. There's some really good ones that have a really nice selection of the craft beers, stuff like that, and always try to find something that looks new. And I have these pepper ones, but I guess that makes sense. Now, at any of these like brew restaurant places, would there be any way? Would it be feasible or okay, I guess, to put it on draft? What do you think of?
Very few places do that. It's a very limited customer base for the really hoppy beers. It's very rare to see it on draft. You'll see it in casks, sort of some one-off beers, but you're not likely to walk in to some place that's selling them.
And I guess it's also a good reason why you should go check out some of these places if you have any breweries nearby you, because they might have some stuff that they don't maybe send out there. You know, it's just like, okay, because that's basically what they are. Beer makers, wine makers, even the hard liquor makers, they're artists, you know, and
absolutely.
One thing they like to do to keep their job interesting is they like to try different aspects. Like, as you said, some put more hops in than others, you know, some, you know, take less, some try different styles of hops, because there's a whole bunch of different kinds out there and different combinations. And it's almost, it's artists, but you're also kind of a scientist as well, mixing this stuff up to try to get that great flavor.
Definitely.
And sometimes, you know, you just want to, it's something that you want to do, you know, it's like, I want to try this. And then you just make enough, and then you go to this brewery. So it's a good reason to go to one of these breweries, is maybe go and try something that you're never going to ever see again. Or if they get a good response from it, maybe like, hey, maybe we should expand it a little bit or whatever. So
yeah, definitely. The Sweet Babe Jesus, the Duclaw peanut butter chocolate porter was actually a home brewing competition. They made a limited release of it for people just to try, and it just had such a great following that now it's their flagship beer. My favorite new brewery, and I'm a little bit biased, I'm good friends with the brewer, is Manor Hill Brewing, and they are it's a local brewery. It's a farm brewery. Everything they brew on the farm, and they're growing their own hops. And their beer it's owned by the people who own Victoria's Gastro Pub. I don't know if you've ever been
no,
there.
I haven't been to that one, no.
It's delicious, but that brewer is an artist. When you said that, Ben Little's name just popped into my head. I mean, he's just an artist. He makes this mojito beer that is it's a little bit tart with sort of lime and mint flavors. It's just really spectacular. He makes this coffee ale. You get a lot of coffee porters because they naturally bring out that flavor, that roasted flavor. But coffee ales are fairly unique, and his coffee ale is just out of this world good.
That actually does sound pretty good, because as I've said before, I'm not a big fan of the heavier, darker beers, but an ale, you know, that might actually be an interesting taste for me, maybe.
Oh yeah, it's really fantastic. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have a Manor Hill keg for my birthday party this year. Probably won't be the coffee ale, but so hopefully you get to taste some of Ben Little's work. It's just really great. I have one more summer. A couple of recommendations, but I have one more summer beer that I really want to talk about, and that's Fresh Slice. And Fresh Slice is made by Otter Creek. It's a white IPA, And a white IPA is an IPA, it's a paler IPA. It is a little less hoppy. Fresh Slice is the alternative to Blue Moon.
Okay.
Blue Moon is definitely what we call a gateway beer. It's a step above Miller and Bud, but it's not quite craft. It's brewed in very large breweries. The ingredients aren't quite as quality. Fresh Slice is definitely the alternative. It's much less bitter than most IPAs, but it's called Fresh Slice because it's got a slice of clementine in it.
Ooh.
A little bit of citrus flavor. It also has coriander in it.
Okay.
So it's just a nice, crisp, perfect summer beer. And that's available pretty widely. So I would definitely recommend checking out Fresh Slice.
That just reminded. It would I know we talked about grapefruit and lemon. Do you know of like maybe any other type of citrusy beers real quick off the top of your head? Like, is there like an orange type of beer or say a pineapple?
This would be my recommendation as far as oranges go.
Okay.
That's a really interesting question because I can tell you lots of grapefruit and lemon beers, and I cannot think of a ton of orange ones. But this one's got the orange zest in it, and it's really good.
Well, I didn't know because maybe that's going to be the next big trend,
Maybe.
Orange. You never know. Someone might say, "Hey, let's see what happens," or maybe they've tried it before. So this tastes like crap,
I think the acidity level of grapefruit juice is one of the things that makes it more popular with beers. It has a sort of it balances out hops very well. So that's one of the reasons that you see a lot of that. I don't want to undervalue Sam Adams Summer Ale. Sam Adams Summer is made with citrus peel and cardamom. Yeah, cardamom is what's in Sam's Summer. That's a great choice for a summer beer if you want to pay a little bit less than you're going to pay for some of these craft beers, and you want a great, just a crisp, full flavored summer beer. I definitely recommend Sam Summer.
That's good because one of those is a lot of the ones you talked about are more localized because it is the beer breweries are all over the place. So these are just ones because Mandie and I happen to live in the same state, and there happen to be a lot of them in our area. We tend to be a pretty big group out there, but I'm sure there are other ones way out there in other parts of the country that if you might not be able to get these. But if you want to try something similar, maybe as you said, that Sam Adams might be. Find your local brewery, absolutely. Go see if you can find something and try some stuff there because there might be not necessarily the same because they're different people doing things, but might find some similar styles of beer at all these different places. So just because keep an eye on these ones because they're good and Mandie's had them before and she knows what she's talking about, but at the same time, she's giving you all the skills and the knowledge you need to say, okay, maybe I should try to check out my local breweries or check out a local liquor store that has these craft brews or a restaurant that does craft brews and remember what she's telling you about the different flavors and the styles and maybe find one that if, there might be one that has a nice grapefruit note that you can't get, from our area. But if you're out in say Texas or California or wherever, if you see one says, oh, there's grapefruit, let's try this and see what it tastes like. So, always good to keep an eye out for new stuff. Yeah.
I know we have very little time left, and I can't talk about local beer without talking about Deadrise. I know you've had Deadrise.
Oh, yeah.
There are lots of people say this isn't a great beer. It's a summer ale with Old Bay seasoning in it. And if you're from this area, you put Old Bay on crabs. And I think we put it on everything in the summer.
We put it on everything, yes.
Corn, popcorn, everything. We love our Old Bay. This is not a beer that I sit around and drink by itself, but when I'm eating crabs, I have a 6-pack here because I'm planning on eating crabs tomorrow, and I have to have my Deadrise while I eat my crabs. Just so if you want to try that, if you want to try what if you can't get this where you're in Texas, Holly, just get a little Old Bay and stick it in a nice summer and stick it in Sam's Summer, Adam. Sam's Summer, and see how that works out for you. Get a little bit of that flavor there.
Absolutely, yeah. It is a very interesting flavor, and once again, my brother-in-law Mike, who you know, he loves it, and they always get it. We had it at Mother's Day, I think. They brought some for Mother's Day. We had our Mother's Day party a couple weeks ago, and I also think we had it at the beach last year also. So it is, and I think I had it at both places. So it's a nice change from like these fruity type of beers that we were talking about, and not quite along the lines of the peppery ones because it's not as hot.
No, just full salty.
But it's got a different type of flavor than that you might be used to. But you know what? It is, and Old Bay, it's our creation. It's Maryland, you know. It's just we did it. It's our thing, and it's highly popular. I mean, we're so obsessed with it. We put it on ice cream before.
I haven't tried that, but now I'm going to.
It was a local place. I forget what it was called. I don't even know if they're still there. But I think they have. I guess they sort of just mixed it with a vanilla or something like that, so you could just mix it all together and try that. So I haven't personally tried it before, but Old Bay itself is fantastic, and I think you might be able to get it anywhere. I mean, it's not just
you can buy Old Bay seasoning anywhere now.
Yeah, so we recommend trying it on everything because it really does add an additional flavor to it. And they had the foresight to say, hey, why don't we try it with beer, and it actually worked out really well. I think the first time I tried it was last year.
It hit shelves last year. I enjoyed drinking it out at Camden Yards. I should mention that Deadrise is made by a brewing company called Flying Dog. They're the #1 distributed brewery in the state of Maryland, so you can get Flying Dog all over the country. I'm not sure that they sell Deadrise any place but here, but they do have a new summer beer called Numero Uno. Summer Cerveza. It's brewed with agave nectar and lime zest.
Oh,
really enjoying that. Definitely send one of those your way, Dylan. That's a new favorite of mine this summer.
That does sound good. And I know Dawn will like one of those. Would like that too, because that's I think. But that actually sounds really good. I mean, that's sort of what you look for in this type of summer-esque type of beer drinking thing. It's absolutely perfect.
Flying Dog is extremely creative.
I think we've Mike's gotten our in-laws involved in that too. I think we've gotten them to try a bunch of those. So
I know Mike also really enjoys Heavy Seas, which is another local brewery. They're pretty well distributed. They have some summer beers out that are nice. A Small Craft is one of my favorite Heavy Seas beers, so I don't want to completely ignore them. But I know your brother-in-law really likes them.
Yeah, and one of these days, I think, because I want to try to have you again back on in the fall again, talk about any brand new trends and fall stuff also. Maybe I can try to get him on here too, and you guys can compare your notes. And
that'd be great.
I think that might be a lot of fun. That'd be kind of cool. And my birthday is also coming up. Also, we're gonna have it at their house, so you can probably look for an invitation coming your way too.
All right. I'll bring some beer.
Absolutely, sounds great. I'm sure Michael will love that too. So is there any, did you have any other recommendations you wanted that we might not have talked about?
I really want to reiterate what you said earlier about going to your local breweries and finding out. I recommend that if you don't know who your local breweries are, find a local ale house, somebody that's got 20 plus beer craft taps, and any place like that is going to have bartenders that knows their stuff, and that is like the absolute first line defense. Go talk to those bartenders. Tell them, don't walk into those places and buy a beer because you like the name of it. Ask them, tell them what you like. Say, I like wheat beers, or even say, I really like Sam Adams, or I really like Blue Moon, and they can make you a craft recommendation that's going to be, the next step up. And if you like it, find the brewery, find it online. I highly recommend everybody needs to, on their phones, get on an app, you don't have to buy it, it's free. Download an app called Untapped. And it is a great way. It's a great way to find local pubs that have this kind of brew. It's a great way to find. You can search for a beer that you like, and then it'll give you recommendations of similar beers that you might also enjoy. It'll tell you. You can read other people's reviews of those beer. If you want to follow me on Untappd, it's I'm at Many MANY of Mother. It was Many Adventures of Motherhood, but it's Many ADV of Mother. And you can follow me and my recommendations, but you can just and actually Will Wheaton is on Untappd, and he will let you follow him, and you can follow what his beers he drinks. And so it's a great tool and a great resource for craft beer.
Will makes his own. So
Stone.
he's
with Stone Brewing Company. Yeah, Woot Beer is what it's called.
Have you ever considered maybe trying to make it, or?
We used to. My husband and I used to brew beer a long time ago, and then we had a baby, and we haven't had a lot of time. It's a very labor-intensive process, and she would have to be removed from the situation and not help. Although I have to say, she has spent an hour upstairs and not interrupted us, so props to my 4-year-old.
Yeah, of course, my 5-year-old comes down and makes a quick appearance and runs back upstairs, so that's my... He's a boy, so that's what he does.
He's just in the background. What's up?
Oh, very cool. There was something I wanted to ask you, but I forgot what it was. Oh, well, not a big deal. So, absolutely. I know what I was going to say. It wasn't going to be asked you, but another good way to find beers also is, listen to what's going on in your neighborhood, your local city, whatever. There's all kinds of, you have winery fests, where they have, a weekend where all these wineries from your area might come in and you can get a chance to try different wineries there. They do the same thing for breweries also.
Absolutely. Beer festivals are my favorite thing.
And they're all over the place. I mean, they're not just localized, because it's a good way to get your name out there. It's a good way, because that's how you get people to come buy your stuff. You got to let them try it. You can't just say, hey, you know what? I got a really cool beer called Deadrise. You should try it. Well, okay, it's a neat name, but and it sounds interesting, but you're not going to know if you like it unless you try it. So you need to go to these types of places. Yeah, and it's fun. I mean, you get to meet a lot of cool people, because a lot of these local breweries, they're not big yet, and there are a lot of hardworking, good guys, and they love beer as much as you do. So, and women also. I'm not trying to, just say that women don't.
No. I've made a lot of good friends at beer festivals. The Maryland Brewers Harvest Fest is actually next weekend, and if you are in anywhere remotely, Pennsylvania, Virginia, I would absolutely recommend checking out the Maryland Brewers Harvest Fest. There are going to be some really phenomenal beers there. I won't be there. We've got our ballet recitals next weekend, but yes, brew festivals, absolutely the way to go. Try the beers, meet the people.
I mean, the Baltimore Zoo, which is our local zoo up here, they had they have a annual beer fest. It was last weekend, I believe.
Yep, they have two of them. They have one in the fall and one in the spring.
So you can take your kids to to the zoo, and then they can't drink anything, but then you can go into the little area and you can try different beers there, and they've got food as well, so you get the best of both worlds. I think there's something similar up near me in the Timonium Fairgrounds, the state fairgrounds. They have a type of beer festival, and sometimes it's not just American. I think there's like in October, I think they do like an Oktoberfest where you can try German beers, because America's not the only country that makes beer. I mean, there's plenty of other countries out there that make.
Yeah, the Germans definitely have their fair share of beer. I really enjoyed the Belgian Beer Festival at Max's Tap House in Fells Point in February. It's over President's Day weekend, and boy, hundreds of Belgian beers. It's crazy good.
And maybe if you don't mind, I mean, it's up to you. You can talk about whatever you want, but the next time we have you on, maybe if you want to hit some of these foreign beers. I mean, I don't know how you are.
Yeah, we could do some foreign beers. That'd be great.
Because I know if I can get Mike on, he absolutely loves foreign beers. I mean, his father and him have like a bonding moment where they always used to get this big ass, like 40 almost, that you actually have to, it can't be chilled. You have to drink it at room temperature.
Mm-hmm.
And he says and it's a distinct taste that you need to like, but he says it explodes in your mouth, and if the flavor is just so intense in the warm, the room temperature style beer. So he and his father, it's great. They have a little father son bonding moment, on the porch, and they each have one, and they clink it, and they drink. It's so funny watching them drink. It's literally like a 40. It's about that big, and it's really clever. And I don't think I had the guts to try it because it's a darker beer and it's warm, and that gets to me after a little while. But I'm willing. Maybe next time they do it, maybe I'll take a try of that and see what he says about that.
Yeah, we could totally do international beers. That sounds good. I would like to know what beer it is. It sounds great.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll try to set that up with Mike. I'm going to see him obviously a couple times over the summer. We're going to go on vacation together again. Maybe we're going in August, so maybe I'll talk to him a little about it more then. And maybe we'll aim for the next 5 month. The fifth week I know is November. That might be a little late. I might just do a special show, like say in October, which is always a good beer month. Oktoberfest, stuff like that.
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
And the fall, I absolutely love the fall. So I might maybe do like a double weekend of Dylan Knows in October sometime, and we'll definitely we'll work that out. I'm going to see you a bunch of times also over the summer as well. So we'll work something out. So I want to thank you again, Mandie. It's great. I love hearing about all this different stuff, and I wasn't kidding when I say I go to liquor stores now to pick up our wine and hard liquor that we usually get, but get some beer also. And you go in the back where all your typical Sam Adams, Blue Moons, and Yinglings are, but then the one liquor store I can think of near me has got a really nice section of the craft beers, and I always like to take a look at them and say, oh, this is an interesting one to look at and try out. I think that's where I think I found some Orgasm there before also.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Fantastic. So absolutely. So anything else real quick? You got anything else?
I think enjoy Memorial Day weekend.
Yep, you too.
Drink some good beer.
Exactly, and I can't wait. I'll be seeing you in a couple weeks. We're going to do our Snark Stock event, and we'll be having some fun stuff with that. So it'll be fun to see you in person again, and try some of these beers. I can't wait. Next week is my 5th Sunday, and what I decided to do is I should have done this back in April or sometime earlier in this month, but just because of schedule, stuff like that. But I figured this is going to be a fun thing to do. I'm going to do a solo show again, but instead of me just spouting off about whatever, I feel like I did that last week. I don't need to do it again this week, next week. I'm going to be talking about summer movies. The summertime is the big time when they release their big tentpole pictures and multi $100 million films, and we'll chat about some of the ones that might have already come out, and also which ones you might want to look forward to into June, July, and August, since summer is coming very quickly.
Feels like it's already gotten here.
Exactly. It'll really feel like it tomorrow. So Mandie, if you don't mind putting out that list of a lot of the beers you went over, you can put that on Twitter. You can follow her on at Devil's Milk Queen, and get the Untapped app as well. And I'm sure you can find her on there too, get some recommendations there. That's one thing I've been wanting to do for a while, but I think now that I got my new upgraded phone, I think I might be able to do that now. So I think I might pop that on there and hit that as well. So I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Join the club, man.
Absolutely. Once again, Mandie, thanks for spending your a little bit of your Sunday with me and your Memorial Day weekend. And have a great one and a good weekend. All right.
Great. Thanks, Dylan.
No problem. And now you out there, have a happy Memorial Day, and I'll see you back here next week. Drink some beer.